Once upon a time in a small village, there was a house that everyone believed was haunted. The house stood at the edge of the village, surrounded by thick woods. It was old and decrepit, with broken windows and a roof that sagged in the middle. The villagers told stories about strange noises coming from the house at night. Some said they had seen ghostly figures in the windows. Others claimed that the house was cursed and that anyone who entered would never come out. One day, a brave young man named Jack decided to explore the house. He was curious and wanted to prove that there was nothing to be afraid of. Armed with a flashlight and a sense of adventure, he set off towards the house as the sun began to set. As Jack approached the house, he felt a chill run down his spine. The air around the house was colder than the rest of the village. He took a deep breath and pushed open the creaky front door. The inside of the house was dark and dusty. Jack shone his flashlight around the room. The furniture was covered in white sheets, and cobwebs hung from the ceiling. He could hear the sound of his own footsteps echoing through the empty house. Suddenly, he heard a noise coming from upstairs. Jack's heart raced as he slowly climbed the stairs. The steps creaked under his weight. When he reached the top, he saw a long hallway with several doors. The noise was coming from the last room on the right. He walked towards it, his flashlight shaking in his hand. He reached the door and slowly pushed it open. Inside, he saw an old rocking chair moving back and forth on its own. Jack's eyes widened in fear, but he forced himself to step into the room. As he did, the chair stopped moving. Jack looked around the room. There was a large, old-fashioned bed with a canopy, a dresser with a cracked mirror, and a wardrobe in the corner. He walked over to the wardrobe and opened it. Inside, he found a dusty old diary. Curious, Jack opened the diary and began to read. It belonged to a young girl named Emily who had lived in the house many years ago. The diary told the story of how Emily had fallen ill and died in the house. Her spirit had been trapped there ever since. As Jack read the diary, he felt a presence in the room. He looked up and saw the ghostly figure of a young girl standing by the bed. She looked sad and lonely. Jack realized that Emily's spirit was not evil. She was just lost and needed help. Jack spoke to Emily's spirit, telling her that he would help her find peace. He promised to take the diary to the village and tell her story so that she would be remembered. Emily's spirit smiled and slowly faded away. Jack left the house with the diary in hand. He returned to the village and told everyone about Emily's story. The villagers were moved by the tale and decided to hold a memorial for Emily. They cleaned up the old house and turned it into a place of remembrance. From that day on, the house was no longer considered haunted. The strange noises stopped, and no more ghostly figures were seen. Jack had helped Emily's spirit find peace, and the village was no longer afraid of the old house. The house became a symbol of hope and remembrance for the village. People would visit it to pay their respects to Emily, and to remember that even in the darkest places, there can be light. Jack was hailed as a hero for his bravery and kindness. Years later, the house still stood at the edge of the village, but it was no longer a place of fear. It had become a cherished part of the village's history, a reminder of the power of compassion and the importance of remembering those who came before us.